Good? Yeah. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, through. First and Second Samuel, First Kings, Second Kings, First and Second Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and the last book, Malachi. Okay, now we see the New Testament. What New Testament begins with? It's Matthew. Okay, what's it end with?
I know it.
What?
Matthew.
Okay, well, let's. You ready?
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
That's right.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and
Do you know what those books are called, by the way? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John? They're called the Gospels, the Gospel accounts, okay? Because they tell about the life and times of Jesus when he walked on this earth, okay? So good news. Okay. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Acts and Leviticus, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians and Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd Timothy, Titus and Philemon, Hebrews, James, 1st and 2nd Peter, 1st and 2nd, 3rd John, Jude and Revelation. Creation. Heaven.
Revelation 21. Revelation 21.
Wow, y'all got it right. Good. Okay. Birth of Jesus.
Exodus 1. Exodus 1. Exodus.
Birth of Jesus.
Luke 2.
Okay, listen. Let's think about it. It is Luke 2. Now, I said the Gospels were Matthew, Mark, Luke, John,
Luke 2.
and I said that was about the life of Jesus on this earth. So it had to be one of those. And it happens to be Luke 2. So Luke 2 is
I
correct.
said Luke 2.
So you ought to remember that, shouldn't you? Got a brother named Luke. Okay. Birth of the church.
Acts 2. Acts 2.
Yes.
Acts 2.
Birth of Moses.
Exodus 2. Exodus 2.
King Commandments.
I said Exodus 2.
King Commandments.
Exodus 2. Exodus 1. Exodus 20.
Did you say 20?
Exodus
20 is right. Good
Exodus
job.
20.
That's right.
Exodus 1. I
They're
got
like an
one
auctioneer up here. Exodus 20 is right. That's right. Okay. Love.
Revelation 26, 61. Exodus 23. Exodus 21. 41.
It's in 1 Corinthians
13.
13 is right. Love is 1 Corinthians 13. Okay. You did. Okay. Okay. Let's get some of y'all's energy out. Jonah.
Let me see that.
Hey. Oh, man.
That's loud. Yeah.
Okay. How many sons did Jacob have?
12.
12 is right. How many daughters did we have at one point? And what's her name? Sing song 9? Okay. Dinah. Let's do the 12. Oh, we ain't got people coming up. Come on up. If you'd like to help sing, oh, let me get out. Yeah. Okay, go on. Okay. I'll hold the mic after you kids. Everyone. Okay. That's it's the eject button. See what it does is, see him right there. If I press this red button right there, he goes flying up. So he probably would like it. Okay, so we're going to see the sons of Jacob.
I forgot something.
What? Oh, yeah. Let's wave and smile. Oh, they look good. Look at them. They're ready for New Year's. Okay. So, Does somebody want to help us? Some of them might not know it. One of y'all want to tell what they are, who they are? What sons? You know? You know?
Yeah, no.
You know? Okay, what's that?
Oh, I know.
Okay, so everybody got that? Okay, come on. Okay, take a deep breath. Y'all ready? Okay. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin. These are the sons of Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin. These are the sons of Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin. These are the sons of Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin. Okay. Good job.
One more.
Okay, we gotta do one more.
I
And
would
what?
sing Jesus was.
Jesus was. Okay, do we know that?
Yeah. Let's do it faster, faster,
Okay,
faster.
we're gonna do it. Let's do the key of R tonight. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing the key of R.
What's
I don't know. I don't
If
pitch
we're
pipe.
down with the can we sing Jesus was? What's a pitch pipe?
Pitch pipe. I need to show y'all that. I'll show y'all pitch pipe sometime. I bet your granddaddy has a pitch pipe.
When we're done singing
But there is no
that,
key of R.
when
We
we're done
have to
singing
figure.
that, can we sing Jesus was?
We're gonna sing Jesus lesson. Okay, ready? Okay, we know the words?
Yeah.
Okay, we ready? Okay. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong, they are weak, but he is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Tells me so. Mr. Kenneth back there. Sabotage. Yeah.
Thank you for being here tonight. Just very quickly, we'll go through just a few things that we learned this morning on our announcements. Men's quarterly business meeting coming up on January 13th, so we'd like to urge all the men to participate in that as we talk about things for the coming year. Those on our prayer list, we have mentioned about the livings and all the ones that are traveling with them, to remember them in our prayers and the work that they'll be doing in the next, is it 2 weeks that they're here? Okay. And also, Mike Moats had told us that two of his uncles, Haddon Moats and Jake James, passed away over the past couple of weeks. Haddon Moats, his funeral was yesterday in Oklahoma, and Jake James, he expects that funeral will be this weekend. And also asking for assistance to help Evelyn Adams move into her new apartment on Friday and Saturday. They're asking everyone that can come and help to meet at her house on 538 West 6th Street after 10 a.m. on both of those mornings to help her to move. All right. Kevin Rice is going to lead our opening prayer. Kenna Massey is going to lead our closing prayer, which Jim will have a message in a few moments as well. You will turn and mark in your songbooks, number 669. Take My Life and Let It Be. We'll be using that song as a song of invitation, number 669. Yes.
Mary Lou Evans is sick, but she is better. She said she almost had pneumonia, but she got to the doctor Wednesday and got medication. She has improved, but she didn't need to be in now.
Okay. Mary Lou is sick. Of course, Haley and Isabel are sick. No, there's others as well. It's not feeling well at all.
And he was still very hoarse and said he felt dizzy every time he got up.
Wayne? Okay. Yes, very much.
I'm Scott is sick.
Thank you very much.
She's been coughing this morning.
Oh.
Yes, that's right. Thank you for reminding me of that. All right. Number 615, number 616 before our opening prayer. He keeps me singing and the way of the cross. First and last verses of each song. There's within my heart a melody. Jesus whispers sweet and low. Fear not, I am with thee, peace be still. In all of life's ebb and flow. Jesus, 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 sweetest name I know, fills my every longing, keeps me singing as I go. Soon he's coming back to welcome me, far beyond the starry sky. I shall wing my flight to worlds unknown. I shall live with him on high. Jesus, 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 sweetest name I know, fills my every longing, keeps me singing as I go. I must needs go home by the way of the cross. There's no other way but his. I shall ne'er be inside of the gates of life if the way of the cross I miss. The way of the cross leads home. The way of the cross leads home. It is sweet to know as I onward go. The way of the cross leads home. Then I bid farewell to the way of the world, to walk in it evermore. For my Lord says, come, and I seek my home, where he waits at the open door. The way of the cross leads home. The way of the cross leads home. It is sweet to know as I onward go. The way of the cross leads home. Would you please stand for the prayer?
Our Heavenly Father, we come to you now in prayer, thanking you for all the many blessings that you bestowed upon us. Please be with us tonight and help this sermon be preached in a manner well-pleasing in your sight and effective to the crowd that's listening. Please be with those who are unable to be here due to illness or sickness or any other reasons. Please watch over us, guide us, protect us, keep us safe and healthy. All things I ask to be done only if it's your will, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Number 432. 432. How shall the young secure hearts? How shall the young secure their hearts and
tonight, we're gonna talk about wisdom versus folly. In Ecclesiastes 7. We do have several, as you heard, it's a good crowd tonight, but we do have several, as you heard, that have sickness. I'm glad that Pam reminded Rick that Pam was homesick. And I know Sister Jeannie is sick as well, and really, this is a bunch. And it's that time of year. I believe James has a touch something. He was on his way to come to church this morning and got up and started to get ready and then went back to bed. And so I think he's got a touch. Izzy, good news, bad news. Bad news is, doctor said, there's nothing we can do for you. She didn't have flu or strep, so there's no shot or antibiotic they can give her. She has a virus, and so basically, linear fluids, and she takes some over-the-counter stuff, and probably about a week to 2 weeks, she'll be good as new. But basically, it just has to kind of work its course. Haley has her medication, so she should be on her way to recovery. And so Sophie and I are just trying to stay away from everybody. So, so hopefully we'll avoid it. And as far as that goes, it's never any fun to get sick over the holiday season and when you're out of school. But in one sense, at least you're either already out of school or already off work, maybe. So that's not too bad. If I were to ask you, what's the most foolish thing you've ever done in your life? Now, most of you probably would not want to divulge because it would probably be a little embarrassing. And but I'm going to tell you one of mine. I don't know if it is the most, but it is one of the most foolish things I've ever done. When I started working, pretty much number of hours when I was 14 years old. I started working at a local supermarket. It was a big supermarket in Sealy, Texas. My brother worked there and I worked there. The owner happened to be a member of church, and so we had that connection. And we made good money in tips back in the day. I was mainly a sacker, a bag boy, and in Texas, they tip rather generously. So I made, minimum wage on my regular salary for the most part, but I made good in tips there. Especially the more you hustle, the more tip money you got. And so I did pretty good. Well, anyway, a lot of times, me and my brother would be assigned to have lunch at the same time because, for one thing, I didn't have a license yet. I was only 14. But anyway, that could lead to another story I'll tell another time. One time, one of the owners, let's tell it. One of the owners one time, the owner's dad actually, and we had a lot of Mexican people, Mexicans that had moved there, and they, of course, could not speak English. And but they would come to the store. They'd come, and a lot of times we would have to go get them. They call for a ride. We'd go get a ride, and a whole bunch of them come, and they'd go to the grocery store and get, a bunch of groceries. To them, by the way, and this was in the days when, they were just so happy to be here. They was working construction and other things, and they made good money. And you could tell the difference between a Mexican and an American at that time because their idea of living was they could live 30 people in a little old single wide trailer. But boy, they ate good. They had steaks. They ate the best of the best. And whereas you had an American family, they'd have a nice car, nice house, but they could be eating bologna in order to be able to afford it. And so, just difference. But anyway, they'd come in. We'd have to take the truck and get them, and then they could. One day, like I say, I hadn't been working that long, and Bubba was his name. Bubba came up to me and said, "I need you to go take these back to their house." I said, but he said, "No." I said, "Go take them." I said, "But no, you go take them." I said, "Okay, I'll go take them." So I took the keys, and I was just about to get in that truck, and my brother had to rain on my parade and say, "You're not going to do that." But anyway, so my brother would take me back to, on lunchtime. So we started driving, and he was going from the supermarket to our house, and he would drop me off, had another boy with us, he was taking him to his house. And so, we didn't have a lot of time, had an hour, and so by the time you left the store, it took about 5 minutes to get to our house, and you had to make yourself something to eat. So, I was hungry. I was a teenage boy, you get hungry when them teenage boys can't they, kid? They can eat a lot of food, can't they? And so I was hungry. And so anyway, my brother was kidding that he was not going to stop the vehicle, and I'd have to jump out. And so I decided I'd play wrong. So we was in this, it was a Caprice Classic, big long boat type car, But anyway, so I opened up the back door. And so I start kind of letting my foot just kind of hit the ground, drag, that's kind of cool. And, I'm kind of playing with him like, yeah, I'm going to jump right out and everything. And next thing I know, the way the back wheel was, it was real close to that door. And so I let it bounce, and it kind of bounced, and it hit that wheel, and that wheel just grabbed a hold of me, flung me out of the car, ran right over my foot. Boy, my brother's worried now. He stops the car, and he's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Sure, I'm okay." I didn't check anything, but I was hungry, very much. So I go inside, parents say, "Hey," I say, "Hey," I go make me some sandwiches. And I'm in my room, I'm eating my sandwiches, watching TV, and next thing you know, about 5 minutes later, my brother comes in, and he's just in a panic. He said, "Is Jimmy okay?" And I said, "What do you mean is he okay?" "I ran over his foot on the car." They said, "You did what?" "Yeah." And so they came in there, and they said, "Are you okay?" Of course, in between bites, I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then I looked down at my foot. My shoe was basically gone. It had tore off the sock, and it was just a bunch of blood and mess there where he run it over. Well, I finished the sandwich, and then we went to the doctor. But anyway, so what's the foolish thing you do? We all have done foolish things. And you're like, "That was just stupid. I shouldn't have been doing that." And probably there's other things that we've all done, and it's a wonder we've all survived, especially in the day and age we used to live. You know, we didn't do everything overly protected back in the day like everyone does now. I'm not dismissing that. It's just a wonder we're alive to this day. But what is truly foolish is those who do not believe in God. The psalmist writes in Psalm 14:1, "The fool says in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They do abominable deeds. There is none who does good." Now, the thing you need to understand about atheists is their morality is totally different. Even those who are not necessarily atheists but not a Christian, their morality is different. And sometimes to someone who's not a Christian, to someone who's an atheist, or even maybe of another religion, to lie is okay if it gets to the means that they're seeking. So a lot of times when Kyle Blittick debated some of these atheists and big things, one thing that he had to learn and understand is they are not beyond lying if they think it makes a good point for their cause. Because there is no moral conscience on that for them. Because if it achieves the result in trying to get more people to believe what they're saying, then they're all for it. But truly it is corrupt, those that say there is no God. And so in Ecclesiastes 7, we're going to deal with wisdom. Of course, the book of Ecclesiastes in a section that basically they refer to as wisdom literature. And indeed, there's some literature in this, the writing in this, that has a certain style. And so, much like Proverbs, there's some things that are kind of truisms, or you can understand that abstract thought is true, but it doesn't mean you can have every little detail. It's exactly the way it is, absolutely. And so you need to understand that, so we'll see this in just a moment. But in wisdom, we're going to look at contrasting the wise and foolish. We're going to consider the works of God, or the work of God, and the contrivances of man. Saw this quote, and I thought I'd put it on my slide. "Arguing with a fool only proves that there are two." Have you thought about that? Like some of you know who Ira North was. He was the minister of, at the time, the largest of the Churches of Christ in Madison, Tennessee. At one time, they had 7,000 members at that congregation there in Madison. And one of the quotes that he was, quite often he would say is, "Don't ever get in a puking contest with a buzzard." And if you think about that, you're going to come out on the losing end every time. And oftentimes, we'll know people that are just on that mindset that just want to argue to be arguing and want to cause conflict and turmoil. And once you interact with them, they've already won, because that was their whole intent. And so sometimes it's best better to either walk away or not say a word. But arguing with fool only proves that there are two. And so we begin with this, and like I say, just some of these things you have to kind of just absorb and think about. Ecclesiastes 7, 1-12, "A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of birth." We'll talk about that. "It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for this is the end of all mankind, and the living will lay it to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by sadness of the face the heart is made glad. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. It is better for a man to hear the rebuke of the wise than to hear the song of fools. For as the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fools. This also is vanity." Surely oppression drives the wise into madness, and a bribe corrupts the heart. Better is the end of a thing than its beginning, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Be not quick in your spirit to become angry, for anger lodges in the bosom of fools. Say not, why were the former days better than these? For it is not from wisdom that you ask this. Wisdom is good with an inheritance, an advantage to those who see the sun. For the protection of wisdom is like the protection of money. And the advantage of the knowledge is that wisdom preserves the life of him who has it. And let's say, you're not necessarily to look at each word of this and say, yeah, this is absolute truth, but in general, the wisdom that comes from this, the truth that comes from this, is more of an overall abstract thing. And you look at some of these things, talking about even the end of life better than the beginning. You say, well, wait a second, how is that? Well, you think about it. You think about it, especially if you have been one that has been faithful to God, the end is a triumph, is it not? When you think about, how it is, the time of funerals, and some people have asked, in fact, I saw a preacher post, a good friend of mine, Dale Jenkins, had posted something, someone had said, he was doing a funeral, and the guy had texted him, and he said, I'm sorry to text you back quicker, I was at a funeral and everything, and someone responded back to him, oh, I'm sorry, that must be difficult. And I would agree with what Dale responded to. Funerals are not really difficult, especially when they are those who have been faithful, that have passed away. You see, at the end, we have a way of thinking about things and putting things in perspective, do we not? I don't know, you sit in a funeral, and I don't know, it's hard not to think about where you stand in this life. What it'd be like when you approach those days. Have you lived a life, especially when it's someone that everybody knows has been, a good Christian and has done many things, has been faithful for years and years, and you think about, that's the way I want people to think about me. You reflect on things that are really more important, things that are more of value. And so in a sense, you can see the wisdom in this. And like I say, there's things obviously better about being young, about being just born, don't get me wrong. But in general, is it not great? We have that triumph. And we see all these other things, why were the former days better than this? I think this is interesting. How many of us, back in the good old days, how many of y'all have said that? Many of us have thought of it. Hear the wise men saying, we really shouldn't say that. Especially if we are closer, each day and each breath we breathe, those of us who are faithful, we are one breath closer to being with God. And we have family that loves us. We have good things that God has blessed us with. And somehow we have always turned it around to think, well, back then things were a lot better. Apparently it was better, when the kids used to be the remotes for the TVs. Y'all had kids that were remote. I was a remote for years, My parents said, go up there and turn the channel to one of the other 2 or 3 things that we get, And then if it didn't quite look right, we had to kind of, move the rabbit ears in such a way. And then, a lot of times, even you had to become statues sometimes, if, you move the rabbit ear a certain way and you hit on that thing and it got a good picture, you just had to stay like that. At least in my house, you did. But apparently things are better, and so, I'll tell you how much easier it is for certain foods and certain clothing. And don't get me wrong. There's a moral component that obviously morality in the world sense is not what it once was. But it never was as good, I don't think, as we think it was. So why aren't these better than what we think? Really, I think that's what the writer is trying to get us to think about. Better is the end of things than its beginning. You see, life is not about how we begin. We all begin good with God, do we not? We all begin pure before God. But life's not about that. Life is about how we finish, not how we begin. And so we need to understand that the wise person, he knows that life is not a short distance run, it is a marathon. And so many people, they work so they can retire, so they can do this, do that, and it's all about the things in this earth that they can enjoy and do, but one thing we need to understand is what's important is that moment we died, how have we lived? You see, how we finish really shows what is wise. And in contrast, we see such a difference. What the world considers wise and what God considers wise. 1 Corinthians 1:18-21 says, "For the word of the cross is folly to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and the discernment of the discerning I will thwart. Where is the one who is wise? Where's the scribe? Where's the debater of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? For since in the wisdom of God the world did not know God through wisdom, it pleased God through the folly of what we preach to save those who believe." And then in verse 25, Paul goes on and says, "For the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men." You know, there's something about that should just comfort us as Christians. You know, the world likes to ridicule, the world likes to make fun of Christians, the world likes to do this and that. But we know the truth. The foolishness of God is much wiser than us. And see, one day we'll all come to our end. And one day we'll all have to stand before God. Who would you rather be? One that had doubted God? One that had denied God? One that had refused to obey? Or had rather be one of the faithful? And I think it's easy to see which one will be the wise when it comes to judgment. Contrasting the wise and foolish. And we see it's about a totally different mind process, a thought process. You see, we are part of an eternal process. And we have a destination, either a reward or a destination of punishment. We need to consider the work of God at times. You need to see such things as, pictures from outer space, and you just marvel how great our God actually is. But it doesn't just take that. You look at things like Mount Magazine, which is so prominent in our area. You can look at the rivers. You can look at just so many things, just wildlife in general. You can look at even the smaller things and be amazed at what God has created. And so the wise man in Ecclesiastes 7:13-15 says, "Consider the work of God, who can make straight what he has made crooked. In the day of prosperity, be joyful. In the day of adversity, consider God has made the one as well as the other, so that man may not find out anything that will be after him. In my vain life I have seen everything. There is a righteous man who perishes in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man who prolongs his life in his evil doing." I just love this. Consider the work of God. God has made all things, did he not? He just spoke into existence, creation. And yet here we are, we worry so much about things that we can't control. Who can make straight ways made crooked? We want our lives to be straight, do we not? We want to go from here. We want to, get out, go to college, maybe get a good job when we get out of college. We want to, get married and have 2.5 kids or whatever the average is now. We want to have a big house, nice cars, and other things. And then we want to, save up a bunch of money, retire at a certain age, and, just be happy with all our kids, grandkids, and everything. Just always be, yay, 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 good, good, good. God doesn't make our lives straight, does he? We think we can straighten it. How well does that work? How well does that work for anyone ever in life? And I want to tell you, even people that you look at and say, that person, they've had it made all their life. You obviously just don't know that person. I guarantee it hasn't been quite as easy as you think. God makes our life. God's much wiser than us. What God has willed, what God has said, this is the way it's going to be. You need this so you can be strong in your faith. You need this so that you can understand and appreciate things more. Whatever the reason may be, God knows. And it's all for our good, is it not? It all works out, Romans 8:28. But we need to understand that the crooked things we accomplish in life are going to be there. We're not God. We can't automatically make it straight. I'm reminded of, you remember when Job, finally almost had enough, and he starts kind of things. In Job 37, just a few of these, I just love these. He says, I don't think you ever want to get in an argument with God. You're going to lose every time. And so Job 37, 14 through 17 says, "Hear this, O Job. Stop and consider the wondrous works of God. Do you know how God lays his command upon them and causes the lightning of his cloud to shine?" Isn't that amazing? Thunder. Do you know how God, do you know the bouncing of the clouds, the wondrous works of him who is perfect in knowledge? You whose garments are hot when the earth is still because of the south wind. I'm always get a kick out of these, weather people, meteorologists, and others who predict weather. And, and they have these forecasts and everything, and they don't have they have a good accuracy rate about the day of or even the tomorrow, but, beyond that, a lot of times it's not quite exactly accurate, is it? And they do a lot of studying, and I'm not dismissing their job and their skill set and other things because they are invaluable, especially in an area like we live when it's tornado season or when there's snowstorms and everything. But the point is their knowledge, even as much as they study, we can have computer model after computer model, and we can do test after test after test, and yet we still can't go beyond a certain amount because it's so complex. We just don't know. God just set it in motion. God did that, just must be. Job 38, 4-7 says, "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? What were its bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy?" How utterly laughable it is for those who believe that there was just some type of bang and poof and everything just kind of worked its way together. I find it amusing. The complexity, the design upon design. And as much as we have looked and looked and looked and looked and looked, there is nothing like this planet which we live. Nothing. And we're going to continue to look and look and look, and we'll still not find anything like this planet. What can explain this other than there was a God who created all this? What a wonderful God it is. In Job 42, 1-3, Job has been humbled by this. All these things that God went through, and then Job answered the Lord and said, "I know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. Who is this that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know." How many of us can say the same thing? Maybe we were younger in life, and we were just heartbroken. We were just despondent about something going on, and we just maybe even blame God. God, how did you allow this to happen to me? And then fast forward 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and how thankful you are that you endured that you went through that, and how it made you, improved you into what you are today. God knew. The wonderful work of God. Such wisdom. The contrivances of man. I've always liked this character. I maybe even felt a little bit sorry for him, Wile E. Coyote. By the way, Wile E. is a play on words. In essence, Wile E. is someone who schemes, and he always has these devices, from Acme. I believe I'd stop ordering from Acme. Maybe he needs to go to Walmart or something, get something a little bit more dependable. But anyway, he's always after the road runner. Wiseman talks about the contrivances or schemes of man. Ecclesiastes 7:25-29, he says, "I turn my heart to know and to search out and seek wisdom and the scheme of things, and to know the wickedness of folly, and the foolishness that is madness. And I find something more bitter than death, the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and whose hands are fetters. He who pleases God escapes her, but the sinner is taken by her. Behold, this is what I found, says the preacher, while adding one thing to another to find the scheme of things, which my soul has sought repeatedly, but I have not found. One man among 1,000 I found, but a woman among all these I have not found. See this alone, I found that God made man upright, but they have sought out many schemes. God made man and woman again, did not they were pure. They could live in the garden forever, the pleasure garden that He made just for them. They named all animals. One thing to do that they would live forever. They allowed a little serpent to convince them they could scheme and be just as important and good as God. Then on we see that man continually schemes throughout life. Even this day we scheme how we can circumvent God, maybe live forever or live longer or do this or do that. We don't need God, we say. These are nothing but the contrivances of man. Scheme here, the Hebrew, it simply means, according to Strong's, a contrivance. That is, actually a warlike machine or a mental machination, an engine or an invention. Man invents things. Instead of wanting to just depend on God, on trusting God, on basically doing God's will, submitting to Him as His Word says that we should, we invent all kinds of things. You know, the Bible is dated. You know, the Bible is just something that was back in the culture. You know, we miss it. It's just a love message. You hear that. You know, I believe that there's many ways to God. You know, there's not just one. And there's all kinds of ways that we can get to heaven. We don't have to depend on the Bible. And who's to judge us? These are all inventions of man. Romans 1:28-32, it says there, and since they did not see fit to acknowledge God, God gave them up to a debased mind to do what ought not to be done. You know, I already talked about fornication and homosexuality and those type of things. And then he says they were filled with all manner of unrighteousness, evil, covetousness, malice. They were full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, maliciousness. They were gossips, slanderers, haters of God, insolent, haughty, boastful, inventors of evil. I think we live in an age when people invent things just to be evil. Disobedient to parents. Foolish, faithless, heartless, ruthless, though they know God's decree, that those who practice such things as Josiah, they not only do them, but give approval to those who practice them. I want to tell you, beyond fake news, the mainstream media in its earnestness, basically, they give approval to many who do things that are against God's will. He said, well, maybe they don't know, preacher. Well, I want to tell you just about everybody knows. Because they'll try to twist some of these scriptures from time to time, or they'll try to say, basically what they generally lie on is basically it's just simply not God's word. It's just some man wrote. But to give approval to these things, the same as it's a scheme that man has concocted. True wisdom is only found through God. And through Christ, as we now know through the New Testament, and by abiding in His Word. What is the end? What is the end or the conclusion of all matter? The wise man finishes in Ecclesiastes 12:13-14. The end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep His commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed in judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. Fast forward. Only God knows when this will be, but one day you will pass from this earth. You will either die a natural death or a death on this earth as everyone else will, or you may be blessed to be one of the ones that when Jesus comes back. But where will you stand? Will you be one of those that are truly wise and faithful to God, or will you be one of the fools who have denied and come up with schemes to where you don't have to do what it's clearly said to do? Many come up with schemes as to simply try to figure out how that Scripture just simply doesn't mean what it means. Mark 16:16, he who believes and is baptized will be saved. I believe a early child, a young child, can understand what that means. They wouldn't understand what it means for them. It's pretty basic. Why don't you just abide by God's word and submit to Him? There's no greater wisdom than that. Or maybe you're here tonight and you have basically been looking at ways to do things, making that life straight when God has given you a little crooked life, and maybe you kind of cheated around the corners and done things, maybe done some things that maybe you wouldn't really be proud of, maybe done some things in a way that basically are not very Christian-like. Maybe there are things that you need to make right this very night. If you have any need at all, we urge you, come out, see what He says.
Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to Thee. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of Thy love. Lord, I give my life to Thee. Thy who have not had the chance to partake of the Lord's Supper? No? All right. Let's turn to number 508. We'll sing the first verse, and then Ken will dismiss us in prayer. Number 508, A Wonderful Savior. A wonderful Savior is Jesus, my Lord, a wonderful Savior to me. He hides my soul in the cleft of the rock, where rivers of pleasure I see. He hides my soul in the cleft of the rock, that shadows a dry, thirsty land. He hides my life in the depths of His love, and covers me there with His hand, and covers me there with His hand.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are indeed grateful for the wonderful Savior that you sent for us, your Son, to die on the cross for our sins so that we might have a hope, a home in heaven with you someday. We pray that you would forgive us of our sins. We pray that you would help us to be strong and to encourage one another so that we might show the world what it looks like to be like Jesus. We ask that you would prepare to leave this evening, that you will be with those who have been mentioned, those that are struggling and those that are ill. We pray that you would give them the help that they desire and dear one. We pray that you would be with those who have lost loved ones, especially with the most family at this time. We ask that you would be with us as we go throughout the rest of this week, and again allow us to be an example to those around us, and to show them God's love and how to be Christ-like through the way that we live. We
ask all these things in your son's name, amen.